I want to give a brief overview of the model, of the cognitive model that we're using here. So could you put up that the ABC slide, please? So in this model, it's based on cognitive therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, in particular, Maxie Maltzby and his work with rational behavior therapy. We start to break down cognitive events, emotional events, into their component parts. So, we often are in a situation where something happens to us. So let's say we're driving. I do a lot of commuting, so I have a lot of experience with this. So, you're driving down the highway, someone slams on their brakes ahead of you. And you don't think there was any reason for them to do it. What happens immediately? You feel angry, you feel frightened, you get that jolt in your body. Maybe you go by and give them a piece of your mind or a piece of your finger anyway. So a lot of things can happen when you're in a situation like this. You get to work, you tell somebody, you can't believe what happened. This guy slammed on my brake. It made me so angry. I flipped him off. That's how we tend to talk about things. That something happened and that made us feel a certain way. It made us do a certain thing. Mm-hmm. But this model says there's actually a step in between there that in terms of doing the work, changing ourselves, it's really focusing on that middle piece that happens. So this is where we come to the ABCDs of emotions. So just to give you a quick overview of it, activating event, the situation, that is A. So in this brief example I gave, that would be driving down the road, somebody in front of you slams on their brakes. Skipping B for just a second, go down to C. Well, what were the consequences of that situation? How did you feel? Well, you felt startled, you felt scared, you felt angry, maybe a whole bunch of other things. And then finally going down to D, what did you do? Well, I sped up around him. I gave him a piece of my mind. I was frustrated all the way to work. What we want to do is start to look at the B's. What happened in our heads, in our minds, that led us to those behaviors? Because in this model, it's not a situation that causes you to feel something or to do something. It is your beliefs about the situation, the thoughts you have, the things that came up in your mind. So in this example, for me, it could have been, what an idiot, slamming on his brakes in the road. He didn't even pay attention. He should have pulled over to the side. All these things that I tell myself, that's what leads to the fear. Now that initial startle response is a separate thing. That's something that goes on in the brain automatically. But then if we continue to be angry about it, continue to be frustrated, do things that we shouldn't do, that is because of the things that we tell ourselves about the situation. So very quickly, in summation, it is not the world that makes us feel things, but it's the view that we take of the world that makes us feel things. So moving on to the next slide, please. So what we look at in our model is called healthy thinking. So when we're looking at our beliefs, what are those beliefs that didn't work for us in this situation? When the guy slammed on his brakes, for me to say this guy's an idiot, who does he think he is? Those are beliefs that may or may not be healthy. And what we talk about in this model is a way to analyze beliefs. So once we learn to identify what are those beliefs that led to these feelings, to these behaviors, then we need to be able to analyze those beliefs to see whether they are healthy or unhealthy for us. Different models call it different things. Some call them rational, irrational. We like healthy versus unhealthy. So very quickly, when we want to look at a belief to determine whether it's a healthy belief for us, something that we want to continue having, we look at 5 separate areas and ask ourselves 5 questions about that. Is this belief based on obvious fact? Is this guy really an idiot who's not thinking of anybody but himself? Second one, does this belief protect our life and health? Does it help me to think that this guy's an idiot and I've got to flip him off? I can tell you from personal experience, some people in the state I live in like to chase you if you do that. So I don't. Third, does this belief help me help me to achieve my short or my long-term goals? If my goal is to get to work in one piece, to arrive at the office calmly, probably to tell myself this guy's an idiot, doesn't care about anyone else, is not going to help me meet those goals. Does it help me to avoid or manage most unwanted conflict with others? Probably not. Like I said, I've had too many situations where my negative beliefs and resulting behaviors escalated conflict? And finally, does it help me feel the way I want to feel without abusing alcohol and drugs? So, for me to go through the world thinking that everybody on the road is an idiot and doesn't care about anyone from themselves, does that help me feel the way I want to feel? Does that help me feel calm in my life, feel relaxed in my life? So these are the questions. This is a technique that we use to analyze our beliefs, to determine whether they're beliefs that we want to continue and is going to help us in our future. Go to the next slide, please. Okay, so because this is a very quick overview, I would encourage you to go back and look at some of the previous webinars, especially Mariusz's first one, where you really went through this in detail. But in order to determine whether one of these beliefs we identified is healthy for us, well, first of all, it has to obey one of the, at least 3 of the 5 rules. So we saw those 5 rules. If you cannot answer, is this healthy, to at least 3 of those, then it's not a healthy belief, and you have to eliminate that. It's also important to know that healthy thinking for one person does not have to be healthy thinking for another. So this is one of the things I really like about this model, because when you're talking with somebody, helping them work it through, it is really completely their point of view. What they say is right or wrong for them in that situation, is healthy or unhealthy for them, then we accept that and say, okay, I recognize your rules might be a little different than mine. Similarly, what is healthy now doesn't have to be healthy at other times. Maybe I can't really think of too many times where it is healthy to think a driver is an idiot. Well, if someone's being aggressive perhaps, and you think that driver's an idiot, let me just pull over and let them get down the road and create some space, then maybe that's a healthy belief at that time. Last couple, finally, all rules are equally important. So when we apply those rules to our beliefs, it's not like, well, this one's not based on obvious facts, so I don't think I need to go any further. No, you're going to go through them, each scoring the same, and then some rules may not apply to some situations. So there are some beliefs we may have that can never be proven as obvious facts or not. We just don't have enough information, and so we would, in that case, throw that out.